now I'm excited about this. He's one of my favorites. He calls it how it is when it comes to the New York Jets. It's our guy from Let's Talk Jets, Tyson Rauch. What's up, Tyson? Appreciate you hopping on.
Jake, how you doing, man?
Tyson, I'm fantastic. Geno is back. The Jets are making moves. Who's got it better than us?
Well, I changed my microphone just now. Does this sound all right or no?
You sound good, man. And by the way, I love the setup. It's a nice addition with all the different signed memorabilia. Got some music stuff there. It's very cool.
Got to diversify, man.
What's new with you, man? You give us the breakdown on the Jets, how you feeling, and anything else in your life that I need to know. I feel like I haven't had you on in a long time.
Dude, I've been trying to track you down for like 4 months at this point. You're just a man of the people. You ignore us little people now, man. So now it's like it's an honor to talk to you amongst all your big opportunities over there.
No. Your job is crazy, man. I've tried for months to get you on this show, and your schedule is just not aligned, unfortunately.
It's the Jets are interesting right now, right, man? It seems like half the fan base is pissed off, half the fan base is happy, and they're trying to make moves. They're trying to compete. I think I like what Darren Muji's done so far. We know what we are. We're a bad team trying to find our way to be just competitive and competent. We're not talking playoffs. We're not talking 10 wins. We're talking like get to 6 or 7, be entertaining. Don't be irrelevant by Halloween, like the little things in life. You know what I mean?
It's amazing. Don't be irrelevant by Halloween. It's crazy. We're back at that benchmark, but I do agree. I mean, look, we'll start with the quarterback because that's the most important position, and then we could get to some of the other moves. I thought you had a great take on Geno. You were like, what did you expect? Like, who else was coming here? What were the other options? Expound on that. Give us your breakdown on Geno Smith.
Look at the state of the Jets, man. You literally brought back a head coach that we wanted fired. You brought in Frank Reich, who wasn't in the NFL last year. So from an outsider looking in, who actually wants to come quarterback the New York Jets? Next to nobody. So you can rule out Kirk Cousins, rule out Kyler Murray, rule out Derek Carr. Okay, you're not going to trade for Mac Jones. You're not trading for Davis Mills. You're not getting Brissett. You're not getting Tanner McKee. So now your group is so small. So you're picking the best of the worst at this point. That's what you're getting. And Geno for $3.3 million works for me, man. Because like, you want a bridge quarterback than what? That can run your offense, that can actually complete passes, a foreign concept to Jet fans, like the screen pass, play action pass, actually throw a pass that can be caught. Maximize Garrett Wilson, maximize Mason Taylor, like just the little things. Allow your offense to run and function. That's all we want. For $3.3 million, Geno can do that. He's dealt with the Northeast. He's dealt with the media. He's dealt with the fans. He knows what he's getting himself into. He chose the Jets. Why not, dude? Like, people just hate Geno because he's Geno. I honestly don't give a shit about 2013. I don't care about 13 years ago. It doesn't matter. He's a much different player from then. I don't care if he's a jerk, to be honest with you. Who cares? Justin Fields is a nice guy. How'd that work out? Don't care. Players respect him. Players will play for him. He's going to compete. He's tough. And we'll see what happens. And the other thing, too, is he's not the savior, dude. He's a one-year Band-Aid. It's not a 10-year contract. It's not $40 million. It's like, just find a way to navigate us out of this dumpster fire.
I think that's well said. And look, I don't think he's going to play great with the Jets by any means. I think his ceiling is probably, maybe like the 16th to 18th best quarterback in the league, but that'd be so much better than what we have seen for most of the last, 15 years, basically, during this playoff drought. So I'm with you. The question I think you just had with Geno, he's thrown 32 picks the last 2 years. He's getting up there in age. He'll be 36. Now, he hasn't played as many snaps as other guys, with that age, because he was a backup for a lot of his career. But did he just lose it last year, or was it just a product of, hey, the Raiders are an unmitigated disaster and you just throw that year away?
It could be a little of both, right? But you got to look at, what are the Jets going to ask them to do? They're going to want to run the football, man. They're not going to say throw the ball 45 times, 25 to 30 times, maybe make 2 clutch throws per game. And yes, the Raiders sucked last year. Bad coaching, bad coordinator, bad O-line play, no playmakers. Geno was far from perfect. But that also means you're getting a very motivated Geno Smith too. He's coming back to this market. He's got a lot to prove. He wants to bounce off last year. So I think the Jets know how to handle him. I think having Frank Reich in the room gives me a little bit of confidence. It's not like you have some coordinator that's in over his head. Like, Frank Reich's been there, done that. You got to figure he signed off on this and actually wanted him here. So you do what he does best, but primarily run the friggin' football, right? Ground and pound. Hopefully your defense is a lot better based on your signings, and you move on from there. But like, I don't understand all the hate that Geno's getting. I don't. Like, we know what we have, a bridge quarterback. I think what the Jets are going to ask him to do, he can do. And some days do very well. Some days he'll suck. But that's every quarterback at this level. Like your mediocre average quarterbacks. And if you get a top 20 quarterback, we haven't seen that in what? Even Rodgers was a lot of garbage time. Like, we'll be competitive at least.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Our guy Tyson Rauch from Let's Talk Jets is chilling with us here. If you guys got questions, write them in. Make sure you cast your vote for ASMANIAC Madness. We got the Lane Train and Jams in battle right now. Lane dominating 79-21 in poll voting. Also, Geno Smith signed rookie card is our raffle prize. Big shout out to the super chat I just saw from Johnny, who says, Jake and Tyson, my two faves, JETF.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
Yeah, baby. Let's go, Tyson. Love it.
This is awesome, man.
M123 says, is 26 playoffs the worst long-term quarterback/team result? Absolutely not. They broke the playoff drought. Look what it did for the Bills with Tyrod Taylor, ironically, ending a 17-year drought. Then they still made the move to go get Josh Allen. The Jets are equipped with 3 1s. They don't need the number 1 pick. It's not going to just be a one quarterback draft. They'll be quarterbacks. They need to show competency. If Glenn could get this team to the playoffs, you'd have a head coach. I'd take every bad thing I said about him. I'd say I'm voting for him for coach of the year if he got the Geno Smith to the playoffs.
That's the whole thing, dude. Like, people are like, oh, we got a tank. What if they actually start winning? That means you found the head coach. Like, it's almost like winning's like, it's like, oh, we can't do that. Why not? Then instead of blowing it all up next year, we could actually build on it and do a true rebuild where you add steps to the process here. Like, dude, I don't get it. Like, I'd like to see them like win 7 games. Hey, dude, they make the playoffs. We're gonna have parties. I'll be going to your tailgate party. We'll go travel anywhere. Like, it'd be a miracle at this point. And then the other thing too is look at this young team. Like, all these young impressionable players. They don't need endless losing. They need hope. They need some kind of glimmer of progress. They say, I want to be here. Let's attract more players here instead of begging them and playing a Jets tax.
It's amazing, man. I mean, just the idea that people are like, would it be bad if they ended the playoff drought? No, if you're in the longest playoff drought in sports, it'd be a good thing.
We're so used to losing at this point. Like, no, we got to keep tanking. We've been tanking for 15 years. Enough.
It's so bad. Brian checks in. Tyson, my guy, Jets for life. Let's go, baby. All right, so give me your thoughts on the non-quarterback moves, right? They've added a lot to the defense. I love the Minka deal, getting him for a 7th and bringing in a true veteran leader. To me, they got like real leaders now at all 3 levels of the defense. Minka in the secondary. You got DeMario Davis, who they signed at linebacker. He is the quintessential leader, middle linebacker, green dot, toughness, everything they needed that they haven't had. Love that move. And then you got our guy, Harrison Phillips, up front, who's a true vet and really became one of the leaders of the team when he was acquired in a deal. So I feel like the leadership on the team, there's adults in the room now. Give me your breakdown on some of the defensive moves.
I wish they did this last year. This is how you change your culture, man. You make moves that – see, the thing is now is like Aaron Glenn's picking guys for his defense, his play calling. So now he knows what fits him, but this should have happened last year. This is exactly what they missed out on by literally bringing leadership, adults in the room where your young players have somebody to look up to. It's not like the blind leading the blind. Like, oh, no, we know, like, DeMario Davis, listen, this is how we do this is how we conduct business. Follow me, lead by example. Fitzpatrick the same way, but it seems like every guy they brought in is a high-energy guy, high-motor guy, nasty, tenacious, and that's what you need. Like, we talked about this last year, dude. It's like you need dogs in the room, guys that absolutely hate losing. And you look at the trades Muji made last year, it seemed like Brownlee didn't – like, he came in, all of a sudden, instant impact. Refused to lose. Harrison Phillips, Membu is a rookie, had that, like, got mad about losing. That's what you need, not guys that are mopey, justifying losing, complacent, and just all this. This is what you have to bring in here. I like all the moves, and they're not cap breakers. They're not monster contracts. Most of them are 1-year deals, flyers. Maybe you find a piece, you bring them back next year. I like it, dude. This is all what we need to do to finally turn this thing around.
So if Geno's protected, he could at least be average, maybe slightly below average, which is remarkably better than what they got at the position last year.
Look, Geno's ceiling is probably quarterback 16. That's his ceiling at this point. Like, smack dab in the middle. It could be as bad as it was. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Geno's just done at this point.
That's what I said.
Like if you told me Geno is benched for whoever they sign as the backup by week 8, I wouldn't be shocked. If you told me Geno had a really good year and the Jets and the Jets all of a sudden overachieved and it's like, oh, we're going to move back up the draft board to get one of these quarterbacks. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at that either. So again, I lean towards that he's probably closer to being finished than not, Jake. That would be my concern here. Because, yeah, the offensive line with the Raiders was an abomination of humanity last year, but Geno Smith was mostly terrible anyway. Even it wasn't just that the O-line was pathetic. Like, his decision-making was worse last year. He really, even in the games the Raider O-line played okay, other than that Jacksonville game, Geno really didn't play well last year in any game. So I do have those worries. I'm curious to see who the backup is. Like, I know that the reports are saying Carson Wentz. I would be fine with that. I know Frank Reich loves Carson Wentz. Obviously, look, that year, Carson Wentz was not good, but he perfected the chuck it downfield and get pass interference on the underthrown ball offense that year, if you remember, Jake. So, look, when it's all said and done for me, I think the range for this team has gotten wider because before this offseason, I thought, oh my goodness, they're going to be every bit as bad as they were if they don't do this offseason correctly. They've done this offseason well enough. Could they go 4-13 again? Yes, because the schedule's brutal.
Yep.
They could be vastly. This is the one catch-22 with this year, which I'm very interested to see how Woody handles it at the end of the year. They could be vastly improved, Jake. But they could go 4-13. They could go 4-13. Wouldn't shock me at all if that happens. So we'll see. We'll see. And Geno's honestly going to be the piece, more than anything else. Geno's going to be the piece that really dictates what this team ends up being.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
They didn't write back, Jeff.
Also, too, the sequencing of the schedule is going to be very important this year. The sequencing of the schedule is going to be very important.
They need some wins early because if they start poor, it's that, here we go again. And Glenn's message is going to be lost quickly.
The way the schedule breaks, that's the problem, though, because the draws are so bad where you play the AFC West and the NFC North. The NFC North is by far the best division in football again. And look, Jake, now that Geno's on the Jets, I would be floored if week 1 is not Raiders at Jets. I would be floored at this point.
But let's listen in to a little Geno Smith. He did an interview with Josina Anderson yesterday on her podcast. And Geno, I thought, gave us a lot of juicy information about how the deal unfolded, why he wanted to come back to the Jets in the first place. So here's Geno explaining how it went down with him leaving the Raiders and being traded back to the Jets.
I knew that there would be a change being made. Potentially, could have probably, stayed with the Raiders and in a mentor role. But where I'm at in my career, I really believe that I'm one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and I got to continue to go out there and prove it. And I wanted a team that was going to believe in me and going to have my back. And how ironic that it turned out to be the Jets. When I got a chance to speak with Coach Glenn, he laid out the plan for me. And, from that point on, I knew that, this is somewhere that I can consider. I had other options that I also, considered and, really did some research on. And just after everything, that I seen and, just praying and talking to my family, man, we felt like this was an opportunity. And to me, the opportunity is always what's most important. And to be back with the Jets, having this opportunity to lead this team, got DeMario back with me. We started together in New York, and a bunch of guys that are still there in the building that I was able to reconnect with just recently. So it's going to be a great thing. I'm super excited. I'm really, really excited to get in touch with the fan base and reconnect with the fan base and the community. Get to meet my teammates, connect with my teammates, build a bond there, and just be there for the guys. And then ultimately, learning from my coaches and, being a part of, the Jets organization again. I'm super excited for it.
Well, I mean, let's call it for what it is. He was not going to have a chance to start really anywhere else. Let's look at Geno Smith's options. This was a deal that needed to happen for the Jets to get a starter. This was a deal that needed to happen for Geno to start. He was told he was not going to start for the Raiders anymore. Why? Well, because they're drafting a quarterback first overall in Fernando Mendoza. He was told that point blank. He was told you could be a mentor. Mendoza's going number 1. If you had any doubt, Jet fans, that pick is locked in. He will not be a Jet. But Geno is saying the right things. It's cool that he's excited about being with the Jets again. But ultimately, if you look at how we got here, both sides need each other. Both sides are desperate. If you believe some of the reports, Kirk Cousins doesn't want the Jets. The Jets don't want Kirk Cousins. Derek Carr is a huge risk. You could argue Geno is a better opportunity to give you ironically, the 2015 Ryan Fitzpatrick season. Like you go down the list, they could trade for Brissett, but there's some reports that the Cardinals want to keep him. Geno doesn't cost you anything. He's playing for slightly above the minimum. So I can't sit here and say, Jet fans, you should be excited, but I'm also not going to sit here and be like downright depressed. Geno's back. I think I took exception to some trying to spin this as like, oh, this is a positive because, he's 2 years removed from throwing over 4,000 yards. I mean, we also could be objective here. Geno Smith will turn 36, and he's thrown 32 interceptions the last 2 seasons. That happened. We don't need to pretend like it didn't. It doesn't mean that Geno Smith can't play a lot better this year with a better infrastructure around him. But his QBR last season was 27th out of 28 qualified quarterbacks, 34.1. Average is 50, for those who are curious. He's thrown more picks than any quarterback over the last 2 years. The next closest in that span is Baker with 27. And again, Geno threw 32. But for the minimum, for a guy to have a chip on his shoulder, I can't sit here and hate it. What were the alternatives? I'm not going to sit here and be thrilled, but we knew what the options were. I tried to make the case for Cousins. That doesn't seem realistic for whatever the real reason is. I'm interested in the Jets trying to take some sort of swing with their backup quarterback. Carson Wentz feels like the favorite, but should he be? Why is Carson Wentz the favorite to be the Jets backup just because he knows Frank Reich? Really? If that's the case, just trade a late round pick for Andy Dalton. He also knows Frank Reich. He was with him in Carolina. You want to install the Frank Reich offense. I prefer they get a backup with a little more upside, even if he might end up stinking. Will Levis, Spencer Rattler, names along those lines, because at least there's that upside potential. But it's clear, and we'll get more into Geno's comments here. It is clear it was articulated to him. He's going to start. And that's why, to get this deal done, the Jets working a trade with the Raiders. So the Raiders get to move up some spots in the draft. The Jets trading a 6th. They get back a 7th. The Raiders are paying most of the salary, but the Jets did give Geno about $1 million raise to kind of sweeten the deal. So it's obvious that Geno Smith is going to be this team's starting quarterback. Here's more from Geno. Geno being asked about returning to the Jets, and I love the reference he made right off the top.
Out of all teams, coming back to the green and white, how does it feel?
Oh, I'm so excited, Joe. I'm so excited. It's super like this full circle moment for me, honestly. Man, I can remember my last touchdown was to Quincy Enunwa, right there in MetLife Stadium. We're playing the Ravens. That day I tore my ACL, and that began my journey. And it all led me back here where it all started. And I thank God for the opportunity. I thank the Jets for the opportunity. Coach Glenn and I have been, on the phone, and he's got a real plan. I believe in what he and the GM and everyone over there is doing. They got a real plan, and they're ready to, kind of turn things around. And I just to be a part of that, I think it's going to be special. And I think it's kind of like a movie. It's kind of like a movie script.
It's a movie script. Well, let's hope the ending to the movie is a lot better than the ending to Geno's first go around with the Jets. And it would be an amazing story. No one could deny that. If the guy that was here the last time they had a winning season, that 2015 year started because Fitzpatrick had to take over after the incident between Geno and I came out of Poly. It's a long time ago, man. I mean, think about it. Geno Smith was drafted in 2013. It's a long, long time ago. It's hard to believe. Geno Smith was drafted by John Izek. That's how long Geno's been around, man. He's had a hell of a career. Even if he doesn't end up being good with the Jets, when he left the Jets, did anyone see Geno Smith still being in the league in 2026? He's made over $100 million in his career. He's had a hell of a career. And Geno seems like a likable guy, so I will root for him to prove many of us wrong. We just think he's just probably not very good anymore. Maybe average at best. But that's how long Geno's been around. So the human side of it, you're rooting for him. I hope he plays great, gives us watchable football. He's better than Fields, I'll tell you that much. He's better than Brady Cook. He's better than Tyrod Taylor, who Geno did note in this interview. He works out with Tyrod in the offseason. I do wonder, could Tyrod be in play? Could they bring him back? I'd rather Tyrod than Wentz. I know Wentz is younger, but they both have injury problems, and one doesn't have the history of not being the best teammate. Tyrod, everyone loves. He knows his role. He's confident when he has to play. He'll help guys behind the scenes. He's got a good relationship with Geno. I still think Tyrod Taylor should be in play to be brought back. I'd take him over Wentz, but again, I'd like the QB2 to be someone with more of an upside, and then we'll talk about the potential of drafting Ty Simpson either in the first round, whether that be at 16, whether that be at pick 32, or even trading back in to the end of round 1 like the Giants did with Jackson Dart to secure the 5th-year option. More from Geno. I thought this was really interesting here. So Geno Smith in this interview referenced some of the conversations he's had with current Jets and his thoughts on some of his new teammates. Here's Geno talking about that.
DeMario and I, we were texting, and it's funny. We were at the Pro Bowl, and we were having this conversation. It was probably like a couple years ago. We were having this conversation on the back of the bus about just how we overcame so many things from our Jet days, and how God has been so good to us, and how we always have to continue to preach the gospel, because it truly is God. I mean, who else could write a story like this? Get drafted to the Jets, go through all that, and then come right back to the Jets. It's got to be. It's not my plans, that for sure. My plans was to be drafted and play for the Jets the entire time and retire there. But however I got to this point, And so DeMario and I, we're excited about getting into that locker room and again, meeting the guys and just continuing to build with those guys. Garrett Wilson is a guy who I've, been a big old fan of since he got into the league, really since he was at Ohio State. And he's one of the better receivers to come out of that program, and he's shown it. I mean, he's such a tremendous player and only can get better. And so hopefully I can help him get better. Breece Hall, to me, is one of the better running backs in the league. He has proven, week in and week out that he can be explosive. He can catch out of the backfield. He's great in protection. I mean, I've already started watching film on just the offense from last year. They got great weapons on the outside. I like A.D. Mitchell a lot. I like Mason Taylor a lot. I like the offensive line a lot. I feel like they invested in that line. I think Mimbu had a great year last year to be a rookie. I think he's only going to blossom. And I think, I trust AG with that defense. I know what he can do. I've gone against AG multiple times, and I know the type of coordinator he is, the type of man he is, the type of leader he is, and I know he's going to have that defense humming. And when you're playing good defense and you got a good running game, it only helps out guys like myself. So I'm looking forward to, being a part of that team, and, looking forward to building this thing one step at a time, brick by brick, and just getting things going.
Brick by brick, Brick Johnson by Brick Johnson, Geno. Brick Johnson was probably like a 5-year-old the last time Geno Smith was with the Jets, by the way. Look, again, they're not bereft of talent on offense. I know it's easy just to say, LOL Jets. They suck. They always will. And again, no one will believe you when you say this. They'll look at you like you have, 7 heads. But the Jets have talent on the offensive side of the ball. They have a competent offensive line. Now, they need to address guard, and we'll talk more about that coming up with Antoine Staley. They need to figure out what the plan is there. You can't just go into the year saying, well, we'll just draft someone. It's fine. Because then you have Myers and someone that you're drafting. All of a sudden, your strength, is it still a strength? Even with the 2 bookend tackles and Joe Tippmann? But we'll get to that. But you have Garrett Wilson. You have A.D. Mitchell. Mason Taylor should be better in his second year. Breece is back with Braylon Allen, with Isaiah Davis. You're going to add an infusion of talent. They're going to add a receiver. Could be a trade. Could be in the draft. If they could just get competent quarterback play and the defense is better, they're not going to lose their last 5 games by an average of 23 points or more, breaking an NFL record. They'll be in games. They're not going to have, 4 or 5 games this past year where they had under 100 passing yards? I mean, Fields alone had 4 of those games. A couple of them were like under 60. Like, Geno Smith can throw the football. I know the bar is low, but he's a bridge. He's not costing you anything. Again, I want to have someone as the backup with more of an upside in case Geno, 1, gets hurt, or 2, just might be a shot player. He's thrown 32 picks the last 2 years. His QBR is down. It was second worst in the league, the stats I gave, but maybe he just needs the right infrastructure to bounce back. Maybe Frank Reich is Chan Gailey and Geno Smith is Ryan Fitzpatrick, ironically. I don't know. But it's March 11th, and for those saying tank, we could talk about it. And if Glenn doesn't improve, the Jets just might be bad on their own, but they're not going to be bad by choice. Darren Muji might make some smart moves, but he can't guarantee he's definitely going to be here a year from now if the Jets are the worst team in football. You can't only blame that on just the head coach. You might want a clean start all around. So they're going to try and win games. So we as Jet fans have to just hope, Geno Smith could play certainly a lot better than any quarterback that we have had here in a long time. Can he give you the Fitz year, the McCown year? People don't want to hear this, but Aaron Rodgers had a good season in 2024. He wasn't bad. He was competent. That's kind of what you're looking for. But ultimately, they have so much they have to figure out. But the biggest thing is quarterback. You can't be excited about the other moves unless you have some sort of faith in the quarterback spot. Now, here's the thing with Geno. It ended poorly with him and the media. Not just the Jet media, the Giant media as well. He's matured a lot. But there's also a video of him flipping off Raiders fans at the end of one of their games last year when he was really annoyed and pissed off. Can Geno handle the media and the scrutiny that comes with being the Jet quarterback once again? Here's Geno Smith being asked about that in this interview.
So do you feel like you're ready for New York again? Do you feel like you're ready for the media? Because you've been gone for a little bit.
Are they ready for me? What are you saying? Are they ready for it? Like, of course, I was ready from day one. I was ready from day one. And the reality is that in life, man, the way that life works, it's not just a smooth line. It doesn't just go like that. You go up, then sometimes you go down, but you got to keep climbing. And that's the reality of life. Is like you got to respond to things. And so I've learned a lot from my Jet days, and those things I'm going to bring with me. I'm going to make sure that I'm a lot better than I was back then, and I look forward to that.
Good answer there from Geno. We're going to find out. We are certainly going to find out. One more from Eugene. Here's Geno on his conversations with Aaron Glenn.
And speaking of AG, what did he tell you to expect relative to just the quarterback competition? What is your understanding coming into the New York Jets relative to your role?
Yeah, I'll let AG speak on that. I don't like to talk out of turn. He's the head coach, and I would like for him to express how he feels about that, because it's truly up to him. I know what he's told me, but again, I will let him speak on that. But again, my job is to come in and help everybody get better.
His job is to be the starting quarterback. Let's call it for what it is. Geno Smith could have went elsewhere. They're not getting him unless they say, Geno, you're going to start. Now, I would still say, look, you still got to earn it. There's still a competition, but it's going to be Geno's job to lose, especially if they sign Carson Wentz.